Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Again, gently now. Breathe in through your nose, filling your lungs softly, and release like a sigh that melts into the quiet. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw loosen, your eyes become heavy but not strained. Imagine the sound of raindrops tapping gently against a window pane nearby, each drop a delicate note in a soft lullaby of water and sky. The rhythm is steady, constant, and reassuring. You are safe here. You are warm. You are welcome. As you rest, imagine yourself sitting in a cozy old library, the kind where the air smells faintly of polished wood and time-worn parchment. The rain outside is steady, creating a curtain of silver that blurs the world beyond. Within, the shelves tower gently around you, filled with stories, memories, and whispers from ages past. A kind fire burns low in the hearth, not roaring, but glowing a quiet companion to the rain. Its warmth stretches softly into the room, wrapping around you like a woolen blanket. You feel no rush here, only stillness, only peace. On a round oak table before you lies a curious book, its cover leather-bound, its edges gilded faintly with age. The title, etched upon it, glimmers faintly in the firelight. Rainy history for sleep, empires yawning through the ages. The book seems to wait for you, patient and unhurried. You lift it gently, feeling the satisfying weight in your hands, and as you open it, the pages breathe with the scent of ink and old rain-soaked leaves. Your journey begins not with noise or commotion, but with a hush. The first chapter unfolds slowly, like a dream telling of empires, not in their wars or triumphs, but in their moments of quiet. Great cities, lulled by rain, marble halls where footsteps echoed faintly under lantern light, markets where the chatter faded with dusk, replaced by the soft lull of nighttime. Imagine yourself stepping through the doorway of time, not as a warrior or a king, but simply as a quiet traveler, carried by the rain into scenes long gone, but gently waiting. The first empire you visit is Rome, but not the Rome of battles or blood. Instead, it is the Rome of a quiet afternoon. The storm clouds have gathered over tiled rooftops, and the great streets of the eternal city glisten with rain. You find yourself walking along the forum, where grand columns stand like ancient trees, rain slipping down their carved stone. The air smells of damp stone, olive wood, and warm bread drifting from nearby ovens. People hurry lightly beneath wool cloaks, their sandals splashing through shallow puddles, laughter and chatter softened by the rain. There is no urgency here, no danger, only the rhythm of daily life, softened by drizzle. You pause by a fountain, its marble basin rippling with raindrops, watching how the water dances in tiny circles. A boy passes by, balancing a basket of figs on his head, humming a tune to himself as though the rain were a blessing. Somewhere nearby, you hear a lute being played soft. Drifting through a courtyard, a woman sings in a low, lilting voice, a melody about the sea, and her voice seems to blend with the patter of rain, as though history itself has chosen to hum you a lullaby. The book in your lap shifts, and the words seem to carry you further. You are now inside a Roman bathhouse, not crowded, not loud, but serene. Steam rises into the air, and the sound of water trickling from carved stone spouts is like the heartbeat of the building. The rain outside becomes only a faint memory, muffled by warm mist. You rest on a marble bench, feeling the heat radiating from the stone. The air is scented with lavender and myrtle oils. The Romans around you speak softly, voices low and unhurried, as though even conversation itself is drowsy in this place. One old man, with silver hair and eyes gentle as candlelight, leans back against the steam, closing his eyes. He smiles faintly, as though savoring the simple joy of rain-soaked peace. You realize then that empires, for all their grandeur, are made up of quiet evenings like this. People resting, people breathing, people dreaming. The chapter of Rome fades softly, like steam drifting away. The rain outside your library window continues, steady and calming. You close the first page, knowing more journeys await. But there is no rush. You are already drifting, carried on the rain into the next gentle age. The library around you is still glowing with the fire's warmth. The rain against the windows hums a steady rhythm, as if the whole world outside has slowed to breathe with you. You open the great book once more, and the pages unfold with a whisper. This time, the rain carries you far from Rome. It carries you eastward, across mountains and deserts, into the lands of the Persian Empire. But you do not arrive in a battlefield or a palace hall filled with politics. No, you step quietly into a garden. It is evening, and the garden has just been kissed by rain. The sky above is soft grey, and the last light of the day lingers in faded gold on the horizon. The garden is lush and orderly, designed with flowing symmetry. Pools of water reflect the trees, and channels of irrigation murmur with life. You walk slowly down a stone path, lined with cypress and pomegranate trees. The rain still drips lightly from the leaves, tapping on the surface of the pools, each sound blending into the garden's natural music. The air is heavy with the scent of wet roses, jasmine, and earth after rain. You pause beside a pool where lilies float, their pale petals glistening with droplets. The water reflects the arches of a nearby pavilion where soft lamps glow. You can almost feel the smooth marble beneath your fingertips as you rest against the edge. In this pavilion, musicians are seated quietly, plucking at stringed instruments and drawing out long, gentle notes. A knee flute drifts into the air, its tone low and haunting, as if the night itself is sighing through the reeds. Their music is not for grandeur, but for reflection, for slowing down. You feel it weaving through the rain, guiding your heartbeat into calm. Inside the pavilion, you see poets gathered, scrolls resting on their laps. They do not declaim loudly or perform for crowds. Instead, they murmur softly, reciting verses of longing, of gardens, of stars. One poet describes how raindrops are pearls cast from heaven, and the others nod in quiet agreement. A servant pours tea into delicate cups fragrant with mint and saffron. You imagine taking one into your own hands. The cup is warm, the tea aromatic, its steam curling upward like a delicate ribbon. As you sip, the taste is rich, grounding, soothing. The empire around you might be vast, stretching across mountains, deserts, and seas. But here in this garden, you feel only intimacy, the hush of rain, the murmurs of poetry, the fragrance of roses, mingled with stone, cooled by evening air. A child passes by, laughing softly as he chases a peacock whose feathers shimmer even in the dim light. The peacock does not mind the rain, strutting proudly, droplets beating on its jewel-like tail. The sound of the boy's laughter is gentle and pure, carrying across the garden like the final note of a song. You wander deeper, past cypress trees that stand like guardians, You come to a reflecting pool, its surface utterly still, except for the occasional ripple of falling rain. Beyond it rises a tall stone arch, carved with verses in curling Persian script, each word a celebration of beauty and stillness. Standing there, you realize something. Empires, for all their grandeur and expansion, are remembered not only in battles or conquests, but also in these quiet moments of rain-soaked peace, the soft places where people lived, breathed, dreamed, and created. The garden begins to blur gently, the rain folding it back into mist. Slowly, you are carried once more into the library. The book rests warmly in your hands, its pages still glowing with the promise of more. The fire whispers low in the hearth, and outside, the rain keeps falling, steady and kind. You breathe in deeply, as if inhaling both roses and rain. You breathe out slowly, settling deeper into stillness. And now, the next chapter waits to carry you onward. The rain has not stopped. In the library where you sit, it continues to fall outside, steady, timeless, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The fire glows warmly at your side, and as you turn the book's pages once more, you are carried further east, into the lands of ancient China, during the long, enduring reign of the Han. But it is not into a throne room of power that you arrive. Instead, you find yourself on a quiet street in Luoyang, the capital, where dusk has fallen and lanterns sway gently in the drizzle. The rain here is fine and silken, more mist than storm. It clings to tiled roofs and wooden beams, sliding softly down painted doors. Along the narrow street, vendors close their stalls, folding fabric canopies, their laughter and chatter dissolving into the quiet of evening. The air smells of sesame oil, soy, and ginger, mingled with the freshness of rain-soaked bamboo. A gentle steam rises from small clay pots where tea still brews. You pass one tea house, its door slightly open, light spilling out like a golden ribbon. Inside, the atmosphere is warm and intimate. Wooden tables are low and worn smooth from years of touch. On the walls hang scrolls, painted with landscapes of mountains and rivers, delicate ink strokes that seem to breathe with mist. Patrons sit together, speaking in soft tones, sipping tea from porcelain cups that ring faintly when placed back on saucers. You step in, welcomed as though you've always belonged here. The host, smiling with kind eyes, gestures you to a seat by the window. You sit, and soon a cup of jasmine tea is placed before you. Its fragrance is sweet and floral, its warmth traveling through your hands into your chest. Outside, you watch as a scholar passes, his robe darkened by rain, scrolls tucked carefully beneath his sleeve. He walks with unhurried dignity, pausing occasionally to admire the lanterns reflected in puddles at his feet. Behind him, a child runs barefoot through the rain, giggling as the droplets patter against her face. Her mother calls softly, not with scolding, but with amusement. In the tea house, a musician takes up a guqin, a long, elegant stringed instrument, and begins to play. The notes are gentle, spacious, like rain turned into music. Each plucked string echoes as if falling into still water, rippling outward endlessly. You feel the sound settle into your heart, like a lullaby written for you across centuries. A storyteller begins speaking, his voice smooth, unhurried, carrying tales of dragons who bring rain and emperors who dream of stars. The listeners lean in, their faces calm, as though the stories are as nourishing as the tea. You feel the rhythm of his words ease you further into rest, the rain outside and the music within merging into one continuous hush. Time drifts differently here. The empire stretches far beyond this street, across mountains and rivers. But here in this tea house, on a rainy evening, everything feels small, safe, and eternal. You take another sip of tea, its warmth moving through you like a lantern being lit within your chest. The glow of the room, the music, the rain, they all seem to fold into one another, a gentle tapestry of peace. As the chapter fades, the lantern light shimmers and dissolves, carrying you back through mist and time. You find yourself once again in the library, your fingers resting on the book, the fire crackling softly at your side. Outside, the rain has not changed. It is still falling, steady, calm, timeless. You breathe in, you breathe out, and the next story waits. The steady patter of rain carries you further still. As you turn the page of the great book in your lap, the golden script shimmers, and suddenly, the air around you shifts. You hear the faint chime of bells, their sound softened by drizzle, and the smell of incense drifts like a ribbon through the air. You find yourself walking through the winding streets of Constantinople, the heart of Byzantium, yet it is not the bustle of a crowded marketplace that greets you. Instead, you enter through a wooden gate into the quiet courtyard of a monastery. The rain is soft, falling like silver threads from the sky. The courtyard is enclosed by high stone walls, their surfaces darkened by centuries of storms. A fountain trickles gently at the center, the rain blending seamlessly with the water's song. You step across worn cobblestones, their edges rounded and polished from the passage of countless feet. The stones glisten under the rain, reflecting the faint flicker of lamps hanging from archways. Vines of ivy climb the walls, their leaves trembling with droplets. Monks, in simple robes, move slowly beneath cloisters, hoods drawn up against the drizzle. Their movements are calm, deliberate, as though they are part of the rain itself. One carries a basket of herbs freshly cut from the garden sage, rosemary, lavender, their fragrance mingling with the damp air. Another tends a small fire beneath a covered alcove, coaxing warmth into the chill evening. You pause beneath one of the arches, listening. From within the chapel drifts the low murmur of chanting. It is not loud, not forceful, but soft and resonant, like waves washing gently upon the shore. The voices rise and fall together, a chorus woven of breath and devotion. The sound is like a heartbeat in the rain, grounding, eternal, curious. You step inside the chapel. The space is dim, lit by the glow of oil lamps and the shimmer of golden mosaics on the walls. Tiny tiles of blue and gold glisten like stars, forming images of saints, of angels, of eternal skies. The rain outside creates a faint percussion against the roof, a quiet rhythm beneath the chant. You sit upon a wooden bench worn smooth with age. The scent of beeswax from the candles fills the air. The flickering flames dance gently, casting halos of warmth that make the gold mosaics shimmer as though alive. The monks continue their singing, their voices slow and steady, wrapping around you like a blanket of sound. You close your eyes, and in that darkness, you feel only light, the glow of candles, the shimmer of rain, the presence of stillness. When the chant ends, silence falls. Not empty silence, but a silence so full, it hums in your chest. The kind of silence that makes you feel part of something vast and tender. Outside again, the courtyard is hushed. The rain continues, tapping on leaves, filling the fountain, blessing the earth. You walk slowly along the cloister, each step soft, unhurried. A monk passes you, offering a nod and the faintest smile, as if acknowledging your presence, not as a stranger, but as a fellow traveler in this moment of peace. The empire beyond the monastery may be filled with politics, with power, with the rise and fall of rulers, but here, in this rain-soaked courtyard, Byzantium breathes in silence. You linger a little longer, watching the rain drip from the carved stone arches, then let the moment fold gently around you. Slowly, the monastery dissolves like a painting blurred by water. The sound of chanting fades, replaced once more by the steady crackle of your library fire. You are back with the book, its pages still warm under your hands. The rain outside continues, steady and kind, carrying you ever onward through history's quiet nights. The fire in your library whispers low, its warmth wrapping around you as you turn the next page of the book. The sound of rain outside lingers steady, and with it, you are carried once more, this time across seas and mountains, into the heart of Japan, in the days of the Heian court. It is evening in Kyoto. The city is hushed beneath a soft drizzle, the kind of rain that paints the night with silver threads. Narrow wooden bridges arch over streams that ripple quietly, their surfaces dappled with circles from raindrops. Lanterns glow in rows along the paths, their light trembling like fireflies in the mist. You find yourself walking through the grounds of an elegant estate. Wooden corridors stretch long and open, polished floors gleaming with the sheen of rain-darkened wood. Sliding paper doors stand ajar, revealing glimpses of courtyards filled with moss, stone lanterns, and blossoming trees weighed down by rain. The air is scented with pine and damp earth, mingled with the faint aroma of incense drifting from within the halls. Somewhere, a zither, perhaps a koto, plays a few gentle notes, each one falling into silence like a raindrop upon a still pond. You step quietly into one of the chambers. Tatami mats line the floor, soft and fragrant with woven straw. In the center, courtiers dressed in flowing silk robes sit in small groups, their garments layered in soft colors, pale greens, muted blues, and creams that ripple like water as they move. They speak in hushed tones, voices as smooth as the silk they wear. On a lacquered table rests a tray of calligraphy brushes and sheets of delicate paper. One noblewoman dips her brush into ink and begins to write. Her hand is graceful, each stroke deliberate, as if painting not just words, but a spell of stillness. When she finishes, she sets the brush down and reads aloud the poem she has written. It is about rain, about how it falls upon cherry blossoms, carrying their fragrance into the night, reminding the heart of beauty's fleeting, gentle nature. Those listening nod softly, smiling in that quiet, knowing way of people who share a moment of truth. A servant pours warm sake into porcelain cups. You are offered one, and you hold it in your hands, its warmth seeping into your palms. The drink is smooth, slightly sweet, and it fills you with comfort as the rain outside continues its eternal rhythm. In the corner of the room, a screen painted with mountains and rivers stands tall. The mist in the painting seems almost alive, blending with the mist drifting through the courtyard outside. For a moment, you cannot tell where art ends and night begins. You step outside onto the wooden veranda. The rain has slowed, now only a faint drizzle, clinging to the leaves of the maples and dripping steadily into the mossy stones below. A frog croaks softly from a pond, its sound low and grounding, as if the earth itself is humming along with the rain. From here, you can see the lanterns lined along the garden paths, their flames steady despite the damp. Their light reflects in puddles, creating tiny twin lanterns upon the earth. The sight fills you with calm, a reminder that even in rain, warmth and light can be found. As you stand there, a gentle breeze stirs, carrying the scent of pine and blossoms through the air. You breathe it in deeply, letting it fill you with peace. The courtiers behind you murmur softly, their voices blending with the music. The rain, the flicker of lanterns, the Heian night stretches long and timeless, but eventually the scene begins to blur, like ink washed gently by water. The lanterns dissolve into mist, the music into silence. Slowly, you are drawn back into the library once more, the book glowing softly under your hands. The rain at your window continues its song. The fire beside you flickers, steady and warm. Another page awaits. The library feels ever warmer, the rain outside a steady companion. As you turn the next page, the letters shimmer, and suddenly the scent of dust and spice fills the air. You are carried to the heart of the Silk Road, where traders, travelers, and storytellers meet beneath the endless sky. The rain here is rare, but tonight it has come. Soft drops fall upon the tiled roofs of a caravanserai, an inn for travelers journeying across deserts and mountains. The sound of rain against the baked clay walls is like a blessing, welcomed by all who gather within. You step into the courtyard. Lanterns hang from wooden beams, their flames trembling in the damp night air. Around the wide square, arched doorways lead into storerooms and resting chambers. Camels are tethered beneath awnings, their eyes half closed, their breath rising in quiet clouds of steam. Horses stamp their hooves gently, snorting as rain darkens their coats. The air smells of wet earth, leather saddles, and the spices carried from faraway lands: cinnamon, cardamom, saffron. Smoke curls upward from a small fire pit where travelers huddle, their cloaks wrapped tightly, their faces illuminated by firelight. They smile at one another, strangers sharing warmth as the rain hushes the desert. You take a seat among them. A merchant with kind eyes offers you a cup of warm milk steeped with honey and nutmeg. Its sweetness settles on your tongue, spreading warmth through your chest. Nearby, a storyteller rises, adjusting his cloak. His voice is steady, low, weaving through the sound of rain. He tells tales of mountains that touch the stars, of oceans where ships glide beneath the moon, of cities where markets stretch endlessly, filled with color and sound. As he speaks, the listeners lean closer, their faces soft in the firelight. Each word seems to echo, not just in the courtyard, but in your heart. The rain deepens, a steady curtain now, tapping against the tiled roofs, dripping into the stone gutters. You watch it gather in tiny rivulets that snake across the courtyard floor, reflecting the flames of the lanterns. Even here, in the heart of the desert, the rain writes its music. A musician takes out a small drum and begins to tap a rhythm, slow, heartbeat-like, steady. Another joins with a flute, its tone thin and winding, like wind moving through dunes. The two sounds blend into a lullaby, ancient and familiar. Above you, the sky is dark, clouded, and heavy. Yet through a parting in the clouds, you glimpse a few stars, faint but persistent, their light softened by the drifting rain. For a moment, it feels as though heaven and earth are touching, joined in this quiet night. You wander toward one of the arched chambers. Inside, rugs are spread thick across the floor, woven in bright reds and golds. Cushions are piled high, and the air smells of cedar wood. You lie down, the fabric soft beneath you, the sound of rain outside, mingling with the murmurs of travelers, sharing stories late into the night. The rain does not roar, it does not threaten, it simply falls, steady and calm, a rhythm to carry you deeper into rest. The caravanserai begins to fade, its walls dissolving like sand under water. Slowly, you are drawn back into the library, the crackling fire greeting you once more. The rain at the window is still there, unchanged, eternal. You turn another page. The journey continues. The book glows faintly in your lap, its pages alive with the whisper of time. As you turn to the next chapter, the scent of damp stone and beeswax greets you. The rain outside your library window seems to guide you further, until at last you step quietly into another age, medieval Europe, where abbeys and cloisters stand like havens of stillness in a restless world. It is twilight. The sky above is layered with clouds, and a soft, steady rain falls upon slate rooftops and moss-covered walls. You find yourself standing in the cloister of a monastery. The cloister is square, surrounding a quiet garden at its center. Arched walkways with stone pillars frame the courtyard, their carved capitals glistening with droplets. The rain falls into the grass, turning it a deeper shade of green. It slides down the carved gargoyles at the roof's edge, spilling in tiny streams into the earth below. The sound is rhythmic, like a prayer whispered endlessly into the evening air. Monks in brown robes walk slowly along the cloisters. Their sandals tap gently against the worn flagstones, their hoods pulled up against the rain. Each carries a sense of unhurried presence, as though every step were part of a meditation. One pauses to light an oil lamp, its flame casting a golden glow onto the wet stone walls. You walk with them, your pace matching their calm rhythm. The air is scented with wet earth from the garden, lavender from the herb beds, and faint traces of incense carried from the chapel. Somewhere nearby, a bell tolls softly, its sound resonating like a heartbeat through the rain. Inside the chapel, you hear the gentle hum of Gregorian chant. The voices are low and resonant, rising and falling like the tide. The sound mingles with the rain upon the roof, creating layers of harmony, human and nature together. You step inside and find the space lit by candles, their flames trembling in the draught. The interior is simple yet profound. High arches that disappear into shadow, stained glass windows glowing faintly even under the grey sky. Drops of rain trace their way down the colored glass, distorting the images of saints and stars. You sit upon a wooden pew, the wood worn smooth by countless hands and prayers. The chant continues, deep and soothing, as if the walls themselves are humming. You feel it settle into you, guiding your breath slower, deeper. When the chanting ends, silence fills the chapel, not empty, but alive. A silence that holds the rain, the flicker of candles, the very stillness of time itself. You close your eyes and breathe it in, feeling safe, timeless, and whole. Later, you return to the cloister garden. The rain has slowed, becoming a fine mist that clings to the air. The herbs in the garden release their fragrance more strongly now. Sage, thyme, rosemary. A small fountain trickles in the center, its sound delicate as lace. One of the monks passes by, offering you a loaf of fresh bread, still warm, its crust fragrant. You break a piece, tasting the simplicity of flour, water, salt, humble and comforting. He nods at you, a quiet smile beneath his hood, and continues his slow walk. You linger in the cloister, watching droplets gather at the tips of leaves before falling into the earth below. The scene is so still, so unhurried, it feels eternal. Here, the rain is not weather but prayer, a soft reminder that even empires rest, even history dreams. Slowly, the arches and gardens blur, the chanting fades into the steady crackle of your library fire. The book rests gently in your lap, waiting for you to turn the next page. Outside your window, the rain has not ceased. It remains your constant companion, steady and soft. You breathe in deeply and let it go. The journey through quiet empires continues. The fire in your library crackles softly as you turn the next page. The rain outside is unchanging, eternal in its rhythm. Yet, as your eyes trace the shimmering letters, the scene shifts. Once again, the air grows warmer, scented with sandalwood and cardamom, and you find yourself transported into the world of the Mughal Empire. It is twilight in Agra. The monsoon rains have just passed, leaving the earth fragrant, the sky veiled in soft grey clouds. The great courtyards of the palace gleam with puddles, reflecting the carved arches and domes that rise proudly above them. Water drips steadily from the eaves, each drop landing in a rhythmic cadence, like beads sliding from an unseen thread. You walk through the palace gardens, an ordered paradise of pools and fountains, designed with perfect symmetry. The rain has left the air fresh, heavy with the perfume of jasmine and roses that bloom along the pathways. Lotus flowers float upon still waters, their pink petals glistening with silver droplets. In the pavilion ahead, courtiers gather. They recline upon cushions embroidered in gold, their silken garments shimmering softly in the lantern light. Servants move quietly between them, offering cups of sweet mango juice, trays of dates, and bowls of saffron-scented rice. You are invited to sit among them, welcomed as though you belong. From one corner, music begins to play. A sitar hums with low, resonant strings, joined by the heartbeat-like rhythm of a tabla drum. The melody is slow, contemplative, winding its way through the air like incense smoke. The sound carries you deeper into calm, as though your very breath begins to move in time with the music. At the center of the pavilion, a poet begins to recite. His voice is rich but unhurried, each word a pearl set into the evening. He speaks of rain upon marble, of love that endures like stone, of gardens where eternity lingers in every petal. The courtiers listen with soft smiles, their eyes glowing with the reflection of lantern flames. Outside, the rain falls again, gently now, tapping upon the carved lattice windows. The sound is soothing, like the universe leaning close to hum a lullaby. You look outward and see the outlines of the Taj Mahal rising in the mist, not as a monument of grief or grandeur, but as a dream of stillness, its white marble softened by rain and twilight. A servant places a cup of warm, spiced milk before you, flecked with cinnamon and cardamom. You lift it carefully, feeling the heat spread through your palms, then take a sip. The taste is sweet and grounding, filling you with quiet joy. A child wanders into the pavilion, barefoot and laughing, as he chases after a parrot that has escaped its perch. The courtiers chuckle softly, their laughter like ripples of water. The parrot flutters, its green wings catching droplets of rain before finally settling again. Even this small play feels timeless, woven into the hush of the evening. The poet's voice fades, the music slows, and the rain deepens once more. You lean back into the cushions, feeling their softness embrace you. The world around you glows with lantern light, rain song, and the unhurried murmur of voices. Then, slowly, as though carried on a drifting cloud, the pavilion fades. The domes, the gardens, the marble arches all dissolve into mist. You find yourself once again in the library, your hand resting upon the book, the fire whispering low beside you. The rain outside your window has not ceased. It continues, steady, soft, guiding you forward into the next story. The steady rhythm of rain has followed you faithfully through centuries, and now, as you turn the next page, you are carried northward to a land of fjords and forests, where the air is sharp and bracing, and the sea beats endlessly against rocky shores. It is evening, and the sky is low and heavy with clouds. A soft rain falls, threading silver across the land, dampening the grass and soaking the wooden beams of longhouses. Smoke curls upward from their roofs, drifting into the misty air. You approach one of these great halls, its carved dragon-headed beams darkened by the drizzle. The door creaks open, and warmth greets you immediately. A rush of firelight, wood smoke, and the fragrance of roasted meat and fresh bread. Inside, the hall is vast, yet intimate, its walls lined with shields, tapestries, and carved wooden posts. A long fire runs down the center, flames crackling, smoke rising toward the rafters. Benches are gathered along the sides, where families sit close, wrapped in woolen cloaks. Children laugh softly, chasing each other's shadows in the firelight, while elders sip from carved cups of mead. You are welcomed in, a place made ready for you near the fire. A woman with kind eyes places a wooden bowl in your hands, filled with steaming broth of root, vegetables, and herbs. Its warmth seeps into your palms, and as you take a sip, the earthy flavors ground you, steady as the rain outside. A skald, a storyteller, rises at the head of the hall. His voice is deep but unhurried, carrying easily above the crackle of fire. He does not tell of battles or fury tonight. Instead, he speaks of journeys across quiet seas, of stars guiding ships through mist, of the rain that blesses the earth and nourishes the forests. His words weave a calm spell, and the hall listens in silence, the rain outside adding its own music. You glance to the far wall, where musicians pluck softly at stringed instruments. The notes are low and gentle, like waves rolling upon a shore. The rhythm of the fire, the music, and the storyteller's voice all blend into one, as steady as your breath. From the rafters above, herbs are hung to dry sage, juniper, thyme. Their fragrance mixes with the wood smoke, filling the air with a calming scent. A dog lies curled near your feet, breathing slow and deep, utterly at peace. Outside, the rain taps gently against the wooden beams, dripping from the carved dragons that guard the hall. It falls upon the earth, upon the fjord beyond, upon the forests that stretch into shadow. Yet inside, there is only warmth and safety. You lean back, listening. The hall seems to breathe with you. The fire crackles, the voices hum low, the rain persists, and time itself slows. For a moment, you feel as though you could remain here forever, held in the embrace of wood, stone, and song. Slowly, the flames blur, the carved beams dissolve into mist, and the sound of the skald's voice fades into the rhythm of your own heartbeat. You return to the library once more, the book resting warmly in your lap. The fire glows steady, and outside, the rain has not changed. It continues, timeless, eternal. Another page waits, ready to carry you onward. The book in your lap opens again, its pages soft with the weight of centuries. The fire at your side flickers gently, and the rain beyond your window keeps up its steady rhythm. This time, the rain seems to grow warmer, infused with the scent of dust and distant spice. You are carried to West Africa, to the golden age of the Mali Empire. The scene opens in the city of Timbuktu, where desert sands stretch to the horizon, and the mighty Niger River winds like a silver ribbon through the land. Rain has come here too, not often, but tonight the clouds have gathered, blessing the earth with gentle drops. The air smells of wet sand and acacia, of earth drinking deeply after long thirst. The streets of the city glisten in the twilight. Mud brick walls darken with moisture, their smooth, sculpted forms gleaming faintly beneath lantern light. You hear the soft splash of sandals in puddles as scholars, merchants, and children move slowly along narrow lanes. Their laughter and greetings are hushed, softened by the rain. You step into a great library. The room is tall and cool, lined with wooden shelves that cradle countless manuscripts, their leather bindings smelling faintly of ink and papyrus. A small group of scholars sits at low tables, copying verses of wisdom by lamplight. The scratch of reed pens blends with the patter of rain on the flat roof above. One scholar looks up and smiles at you, gesturing to an open seat. A manuscript is placed gently before you. Its pages are filled with delicate script, lines of poetry and philosophy, words meant not for conquest but for reflection. The ink seems to shimmer as the rain continues, as though the water above blesses each word. Nearby, a young boy hums softly while arranging scrolls. His song is simple, like a lullaby. It drifts through the library, mingling with the rain, turning the quiet into music. Later, you are invited outside into a courtyard garden. A small fire glows in the center, and mats are spread upon the damp earth. Around the fire, people gather, traders who have come from far-off lands, families wrapped in woven cloths, children leaning against their mother's arms. A storyteller begins to speak. His voice is deep, rich as the river itself. He tells of ancestors who crossed deserts guided by stars, of caravans heavy with salt and gold, of the rain that comes as a gift, reminding the people of balance and blessing. The listeners close their eyes, nodding slowly, as if the story itself is food and water for the soul. The rain falls more softly now, dripping from the leaves of baobab trees. Frogs croak from the riverbanks, their chorus steady and grounding. The fire crackles, casting golden light upon the wet earth. You sip from a cup of sweet hibiscus tea offered by a smiling woman. Its flavor is tart and refreshing, a cool echo of the rain. Around you, the courtyard glows with warmth and ease. There is no haste, no worry, only people resting together under the sheltering rain. Even the empire, vast and proud, seems to exhale here in stillness. You lean back, listening to the storyteller's voice. It blends with the rain, with the frogs, with the crackling fire, until all sound becomes one steady lullaby. The scene begins to blur, the glow of lanterns dissolving into mist, the manuscripts into smoke. Slowly, you return to the library. The rain at your window remains. The fire beside you still glows. The book waits, its next page ready to open. The rain at your library window falls in a steady lull, and as you turn the next page, you feel yourself carried to another shore. The air becomes damp with salt, touched by the faint fragrance of the sea. You hear the low murmur of water against stone, and suddenly you are in Venice, the maritime jewel of the Renaissance. It is early evening, and the sky is heavy with clouds, their reflections broken gently across the canals. Rain falls lightly, creating soft ripples upon the water. Gondolas drift by, their black hulls glossy with raindrops, lanterns swinging at their bows, glowing like floating stars. You step onto a narrow bridge of worn stone. Beneath you, the water sighs as it passes, carrying reflections of the tall palazzi on either side. Their windows glimmer faintly with candlelight, blurred by the rain that slides across the glass. The air smells of wet limestone, damp wood, and the faint sweetness of roasted chestnuts from a nearby stall. You wander down a winding alley where rain drips from carved balconies overhead. The stones underfoot are slick, shining like polished marble. You pause at a small cafe tucked beneath an archway. Its door is open, and you are invited inside. The cafe is warm, filled with the aroma of coffee and sugared pastries. Musicians sit in a corner with violins and a lute, playing softly, their notes delicate as rain on silk. Patrons sip from porcelain cups, speaking in hushed tones, their words carrying the lilting cadence of Italian. A waiter brings you a cup of rich, dark coffee, its surface shimmering with steam. You cradle it in your hands, the warmth seeping into your palms. The first sip is deep, slightly bitter and comforting, as though it anchors you in this place, in this moment. From the window, you watch as rain streaks down into the canal outside. A gondolier hums a song, his voice low, steady, rising above the rhythm of raindrops. His melody is not grand but tender, a lullaby for the water and the night. Later, you step back into the rain, your path lit by lanterns reflected in puddles. You walk toward a small square where a well stands at its center. The rain gathers along the edges, and children laugh softly as they chase one another across the wet stones, their shoes splashing, their joy echoing into the misty air. From a balcony above, a woman leans out, her shawl wrapped tight around her shoulders. She watches the children play, her face softened by the lantern glow. She hums a tune under her breath, adding another layer of song to the rain's music. The city feels alive, yet unhurried. Canals murmur, bridges glisten, voices hum low. Venice breathes like a dream woven of water and stone, its empire of trade and art distilled here into this quiet, rainy night. You stand for a while, watching the rain fall upon the Grand Canal, the domes of churches softened into shadow, gondolas drift, lanterns glow, and all the world seems to sway gently like a cradle on water. The scene slowly dissolves, the music fades, the canals blur into mist, and the square of Venice drifts away. You are back once more in the library, your fire steady, your book open. The rain beyond your window has never ceased. It welcomes you back, and it whispers that there are more pages yet to turn. The fire in your library sighs softly, and as you turn the book's next page, the air shifts again, warm, spiced, and fragrant. You hear the faint call of a muezzin, carried on the wind, softened by drizzle. The empire of the Ottomans opens before you, vast and powerful, yet you arrive not in the clamor of conquest, But in the hush of a rainy evening in Istanbul, the streets are narrow, paved with cobblestones glistening under the steady rain. Wooden shutters creak gently, and the domes of mosques loom above, softened by mist. Rain streams down the curved tiles, dripping from gilded crescents into waiting gutters. The air smells of roasted chestnuts and sweet pastries frying in oil, their scent mingling with the freshness of wet stone. You wander into a small tea house tucked beneath an archway. The room glows with amber light from hanging lamps, their glass mosaics shimmering in reds, blues, and golds. The rain outside becomes a faint backdrop, muffled by thick walls and rugs. Inside, the world feels close and safe. Men and women sit upon low cushions, gathered around copper trays. Steam curls from slender, tulip-shaped glasses, filled with strong black tea. A waiter places one before you, and you lift it, feeling the glass warm in your hands. The tea is fragrant, bold, with just a trace of sweetness. Each sip seems to calm you deeper, rooting you gently in this rainy night. In the corner, musicians begin to play. One plucks softly at an oud, its notes round and golden. Another draws a bow across the strings of a commence, the sound delicate and yearning. Together, their music drifts like smoke, weaving through the lamplight and the rain. A storyteller joins them, his voice smooth and unhurried. He speaks of travelers who came to Istanbul from lands far away, bringing spices, silks, and tales of their homelands. He tells of caravans resting in the great bazaars, of ships gliding into the Golden Horn under lantern-lit skies, of rain falling on domes and minarets, just as it does tonight. His story is not of battles, but of meetings of voices, goods, and dreams exchanged like gifts. The tea house listens, smiling softly, nodding in time with the rain. A boy sits cross-legged near the fire, tracing patterns on the rug with his finger, as though writing the storyteller's words into the earth. A cat curls beside him, its fur damp from the rain, now drying in the warmth of the room. Its purring adds another layer to the symphony of calm. You take another sip of tea, and the warmth spreads through your chest. The rain outside taps against the windows, steady and reassuring. The lamplight glows upon the mosaic glass, painting the walls with color and shadow. Later, you step outside again. The rain is lighter now, falling in mist upon the stones. Minarets rise into the cloudy sky, their outlines blurred. The city breathes slowly, unhurried, its empire vast yet hushed beneath the touch of rain. You stand by the edge of the Bosphorus. The water shimmers with ripples, reflecting faint lanterns along the shore. A ship drifts quietly past, its sails heavy with rain, its wood darkened. The air is filled with salt, smoke, and rain. You breathe it in, and it settles gently within you. The scene begins to dissolve. The lamps, the rain-soaked streets, the Bosphorus all fade into mist. You return once more to the library, the book still open in your lap, the fire glowing softly at your side. The rain at your window continues without end, timeless and kind. Another page waits, another empire rests in rain. The book in your lap opens again, its pages glimmering faintly in the glow of your library fire. The sound of rain outside never ceases. It flows through time, through every age, and now it carries you into the heart of France, in the days when Paris shone as the jewel of Europe. The rain is steady as you arrive, falling upon cobblestone streets that gleam like polished stone under the glow of lanterns. The Seine flows quietly through the city, its waters rippling with soft silver circles where the raindrops touch. Bridges arch gracefully across it, their railings dripping, their stones darkened by the storm. You step onto one of these bridges. The air smells of wet limestone, iron, and bread from the bakeries nearby. In the distance, the towers of Notre Dame rise, their gargoyles hunched like watchful guardians, water spilling from their mouths into the rain-soaked streets below. The bells toll faintly, their voices softened by the weather, as though the rain itself dampens sound. You wander into a narrow street. The shops are small and close, their windows fogged with warmth. Through the glass you glimpse flickers of candlelight, painters working by lamplight, seamstresses bending over cloth, booksellers carefully arranging their wares. Each one is a world unto itself, glowing against the rainy night. You pause at a cafe, its wooden door open wide. Inside, the room is warm, filled with the aroma of strong coffee and butter, melting into flaky pastry. The rain is muffled here, yet still faintly heard against the shutters, its rhythm steady and reassuring. The patrons sit close together at round tables. Poets read softly from their notebooks, their voices low but passionate. Painters sketch with quick strokes, capturing the reflection of lanterns in puddles outside. A violinist plays in the corner, her bow gliding gently across the strings, each note tender as the falling rain. You are offered a cup of hot chocolate, thick and velvety, served in a porcelain cup. Its sweetness and warmth spread through you, bringing comfort as the violinist's song drifts through the air. Later, you step back into the rain, carrying its calm with you. The streets of Paris glow under the lanterns, each droplet shimmering like starlight on the stones. A carriage passes slowly, its wheels splashing water. A child in a wool coat runs across the square, laughing as he jumps into a puddle, his parents smiling fondly behind him. You walk along the Seine again, where the rain patters gently on the river's surface. The lamps along the embankment glow in a golden line, reflected in the rippling water. You pause, leaning against the stone balustrade, watching the lights tremble in the rain. Above, the sky is still heavy with clouds, yet the city itself shines. The rain does not dim Paris, it softens it, blurs its edges, turns it into a dream of stone and water, firelight and shadow. Slowly, the city fades. The towers blur into mist, the cobblestones into haze. The cafe, the musicians, the laughter, all dissolve like watercolor touched with water, and you are back once more in your library. The fire glows steady. The rain against your window has never stopped. It is eternal, carrying you ever onward. The book waits, and its pages whisper that the journey is not yet done. The book opens once more, and as it does, the sound of horse hooves upon cobblestone echoes faintly in your ears. The scent of coal smoke and damp wool rises in the air, and you realize the rain has carried you now to London, in the height of its Victorian age. It is evening. The sky is dim and heavy, and rain falls steadily over the sprawling city. Gas lamps glow through the mist, halos of golden light shining faintly against the gray. Their reflections shimmer in puddles, stretching like ribbons along the narrow streets. You wander down one such street, where tall row houses stand shoulder to shoulder, their windows glowing warmly. Smoke curls gently from chimneys, merging with the rain-soaked fog. The sound of carriage wheels splashing through water carries faintly through the night. The air smells of wet stone, roasted chestnuts from a vendor's cart, and the faint trace of horse leather. The rain is constant, pattering against umbrellas, trickling into gutters, blending into the hum of the city itself. You pass a tea shop, its windows steamed with warmth. Inside, patrons sit in quiet conversation, cups of Earl Grey in their hands, scones steaming on their plates. The room glows with amber lamplight, and laughter drifts like music. You step inside, and the rain immediately softens, becoming a distant hush against the glass. A pot of tea is placed before you. You pour it slowly, watching the steam curl upward, carrying the fragrance of bergamot and warm leaves. The first sip is soothing, filling you with calm. Around you, the murmur of voices and the clink of porcelain blend into a gentle song. From outside, you hear the soft cry of a newspaper boy, his voice softened by drizzle. "Evening paper," he calls, though not with urgency, but with the rhythm of someone who knows. The rain slows everything down. His words drift like smoke through the wet night air. Later, you step back onto the street. The rain glistens on the polished cobblestones, reflecting gaslight in golden mosaics. A gentleman passes with his umbrella tilted low, offering you a nod. A small dog trots beside him, its paws splashing in puddles. Across the way, a group of children chase one another, their laughter echoing in the mist. Free even in the rain, you wander toward the Thames. The great river is dark, its surface broken by rain, carrying faint reflections of bridges and lamps. The sound of water and rain together creates a rhythm deep and eternal, as though the city itself breathes with it. In the distance, the clock tower rises, its face glowing faintly through the drizzle. The hour strikes, its bell softened by fog, yet still steady, grounding. Each note rolls through the city like a lullaby made of metal and rain. You pause there, leaning against the stone embankment, watching droplets race one another down the brim of your hat. The city feels alive yet hushed, softened by the rain into something timeless, dreamlike. Gradually, the lamplight begins to blur. The cobblestones soften into mist. The carriages dissolve into shadow. The steady toll of the clock fades into the crackle of your library fire. You are back once more, the book heavy but gentle in your lap, the rain outside your own window steady as ever. Another page waits, another empire, another night of rain. The rain outside your window is unbroken, steady, timeless, as if it has been falling since the beginning of the story. The fire in your library whispers low, and as you turn the final page of the book, you find that you are no longer being carried to a single empire or city. Instead, you are in a place that feels like the heart of all history. It is a vast library, stretching farther than your eyes can see. The shelves are endless, filled with books bound in leather, silk, and wood, each one holding the dreams of ages past. The air smells of parchment and candle wax, of ink and rain. Lanterns hang from the ceiling, their light golden, steady, glimmering like stars scattered through the mist. The rain is here too. It falls softly against tall arched windows, running down in silver streams. Its sound blends with the hushed rustle of pages being turned, as if the very building itself is alive with reading, remembering. You wander slowly through the aisles. The books seem to murmur as you pass Rome in one corner, Persia in another, Han China, Byzantium, Heian Kyoto, Mali, Venice, Istanbul, Paris, London. Every empire, every city, every quiet, rainy night you visited is here. written, preserved. Their voices are hushed, yet they linger like gentle echoes, never lost. You come to a great wooden table at the center of the library. A single chair waits for you. Upon the table rests an open book, the one you have been holding all along. Its final pages glow faintly in the firelight. You sit, and for a while, you simply listen. The rain at the windows is steady. The fire nearby crackles softly. The library hums with timeless peace. All the empires you visited breathe within you, not as noise, not as battles, but as quiet moments of rain, of tea shared, of music played, of lanterns glowing. A gentle figure approaches a librarian, perhaps, though not of any age you recognize. Their face is calm, their robes simple. They place a hand upon the table, smiling at you with warmth. You have wandered far, they say, their voice a murmur like the rain itself, and now it is time to rest. They close the book softly. The sound is not sharp, but final, in the most comforting way, like the sigh of a candle before sleep. The shelves around you seem to exhale, and the rain outside grows softer, as though even the storm has chosen to dream. You lean back in your chair. Your body feels heavy, safe, at ease. The fire's glow wraps you like a blanket. The rhythm of rain lulls you like a lullaby. The library fades into warmth and sound, into stillness, and then there is only rain, steady, gentle, eternal. It carries you now not through history, but into your own rest, into deep, peaceful sleep. You are safe. You are warm. You are home.